There's an agenda behind it. There definitely is. And a lot of what I'm saying is uncomfortable, and people don't want to hear it because it's ugly and you don't feel comfortable. But that's why we're in this position, because
We're live.
Today we're here with Jim Lancia, police officer in Bridgeport,
retired,
yeah,
long time retired.
Author, artist. You were just saying you wanted to give us a little briefing about your background, so
Yeah.
I'll kick it right over to you.
Sure. Yeah, no, just so your listeners know, I was born in Bridgeport, Connecticut. I was a poor Italian kid, Italian immigrants. I grew up in a very diverse city of Bridgeport, Connecticut, a long time ago, and I went to schools in Bridgeport, public schools, mostly minority schools, a very high amount of minority, a white kid in a high minority population.
My mom went to high school with him, by the way.
Did
Correct?
you know she was getting robbed?
Your mom? I don't know. I don't remember.
Ray's.
No, Ray went with me.
Yeah, Ray's sister, my mom.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I guess so. Yeah. I wasn't too aware.
Yeah.
So I became a police officer at a very young age. You could be 18 at the time, so I made the police department at 18. I was going to go into the Marines, but I decided to try the police department. And
Youngest police officer in
youngest police
history.
officer in the history of Bridgeport, and that'll always stay because now you have to be, I think, 20 or 21 now.
Yeah.
And I had a pretty amazing career where I highlight some of the things in the book. And I learned a lot on the job, and I found out that things aren't always as they're painted to be in the media and in public perception. So just so the people know that I'm not, I'm just not coming out of nowhere. They got a little idea of who I am, and
Definitely.
that's that.
That's some, like, when I know we're gonna talk about current stuff and whatnot, but I told you I did want to ask you a little bit about the book.
Yeah.
Some of what we discussed the other night, because we just met for the first time. What, 2 nights ago, 3 nights ago?
I'm surprised you still want to do the show.
So in the book, to dive right into it, you talk about the new Jim Crow, and that's basically incarceration for like petty crimes, and which is deemed to be directed.
They call it the new Jim Crow.
Right.
That's the mainstream version of what's happening with black criminality.
Right. But I'm just saying, for the way that they would define it is mass incarceration for petty crimes that is directed at the black community, right? Is that right or wrong? I don't.
They say it's directed at the black community, but you actually have to be breaking the law to be incarcerated.
Right.
So here's what we're talking about. They want to excuse. Okay, let's put it this way: the crimes that are being committed today are the same crimes that were being committed then, when they said it's the new Jim Crow. Now they're releasing criminals out of prison without bail, right? For sort of serious crimes. They're actually decriminalizing lots of theft and lesser crimes. But who are those lesser crimes affecting? They're affecting the people on the streets, the everyday citizen, black, white, Hispanic. It doesn't matter. That's quality of life. When these people are being let out of prison simply because they don't want to lock up too many blacks, it causes a downgrade in quality of life for the people who live in their communities.
Definitely.
It's blacks being affected too by. So what we're talking about blacks, is they make up the largest portion of people incarcerated. But you know what's going on. You got DAs that don't even want to prosecute certain crimes now. You got San Francisco. You got major cities that are allowing smash and grab.
Can I ask you a question? Are part of the reason, from what I've heard through the media or whatever, isn't part of the reason that they don't want to incarcerate for petty crimes is because there's not enough room in prisons, or is that bullshit, basically?
That's what they say, but they don't want to come out with the truth. the majority of people that they are locking up are black and Hispanic. Those are FBI statistics. That is not a racial thing. They're turning into it a racial thing. They want to make it seem like the people throwing them in jail are back from the 1950s in the South or something. These are black police officers arresting them. These are black complainants. These are black victims.
Right.
So they're excusing the black judges who sentenced them, black prosecutors. How is that Jim Crow? I mean, if you break the law, you break the law. It doesn't matter what color you are. I always grew up saying, it doesn't matter what color you are. It's true. If you're white and you break the law, you go to jail. If you're Hispanic, you break the law, you go to jail. Same with the black. But they are weaponizing race, and they've been doing this since the early 60s. So it's weaponized. So now you got blacks thinking, yeah, we're being locked up because we're black, even though they know they're breaking the law, committing crimes.
Right.
So it's and we'll get into why they're doing it, but here's something else. Trump, I'm kind of pissed at him. He's the one. Remember, he did that prison reform thing.
Yes.
That prison reform.
Yes.
What with Kanye West and all that.
Right.
What do you think that was?
And then Kim Kardashian at the time was married to Kanye. She was pulling people out of jail, right?
Right. Why would you do that? How about the victims? Who are the victims? In the early 90s, the Clinton crime bill, I'm not a Democrat or Republican, but a majority Republican House and Senate passed the Clinton crime bill, which meant 3 felonies. If you committed 3 felonies, you were in prison for life. That lowered the crime rate amazingly, drastically, up until right about now. So now we're seeing an uptick in crime.
Because there's lesser penalty.
They
or
took
lesser
that
punishment.
off. There's no more 3 strikes, you're out. Now you got guys back out in the street that got 20, 30 felonies, pushing people off train into the train tracks, stabbing, and people are saying, why is this happening? And the mainstream media doesn't want to cover the amazing disparity, percentage-wise, of black on white crime.
Anytime someone talks about black on white crime, it's right off the bat, it's racist.
Right.
That's the answer.
That's the thing.
Right.
You're racist for mentioning it.
Right.
So are we going to allow that to continue, or are you just going to be bludgeoned into silence? You can't even talk. You can't even talk about the truth.
You can't even call Helen Keller an idiot anymore.
Right.
I know, without getting
For
kicked
whatever
off
reason.
TikTok.
Sorry, I did her up
Yeah,
there.
you
I just want.
horrible man for
I know.
saying such a
I'm
thing.
going to hell.
They should censor you. No.
Yeah.
Well, listen. No, I've been on Jesse Lee Peterson's syndicated radio show. I spoke on other shows, and none of those guys called me, a racist for speaking the truth, because they got to live in those communities too, and the people terrorizing black people are other black people. So when I worked all the projects and all the bad neighborhoods, the black people loved us.
Right.
The citizenry, the decent people loved us because we were locking up and keeping under control black criminality, which is what affected them the most.
Well, that's what we're seeing now with all the bail reform. It seems like the biggest pushback is from the people within these like higher crime communities, because they're the ones that understand, like, all right, they're coming back into our community, fucking up our lives. You guys aren't affected. Like, you don't care.
Well, that's the crazy part. The people that are calling, saying that this is the new Jim Crow and
It's the white
it's
women
white
in,
people
in
yeah,
Katona.
that don't even live there.
They're
In
white liberals.
Katona.
I was telling him a story. I don't even know if I told this to you guys, especially, I know I haven't said it on the pod. There's this Spanish kid that I work with. He's a service tech. He was in Chappaqua. Not that that's really relevant, but it kind of is. He was in Chappaqua going to a customer's house for just a regular scheduled maintenance. And he pulls up, this is in the yard, they have all those signs, Black Lives Matter, what's the
Hate has
other
no
one?
place
Yes,
here.
that one with the rainbow. Yes.
Yep.
Yeah. And he gets out, walks up the driveway or walks to the front door, and they're like, "Oh no, the lawn was already taken care of yesterday. Why you guys don't need to come back till next week?" And he this kid's funny, so he goes, "Okay, I go home now." No, he doesn't even have an accent. So he left.
Well, look at what's
It's
her
white
name?
liberals that are doing this.
The
mostly.
Osborne, Kelly Osborne, I think, the daughter, whatever the hell her name is. She was on The View, and when
Ozzy Osbourne's daughter?
yeah, so she's on The View. It was during the Trump administration. They're talking about deportation, and she says, I forget what the exact quote was, but something about if you send all the Mexicans back, like, who's going to clean your toilets?
Oh my
What?
God.
And that's what they actually believe.
Yeah.
See, they are the biggest. If you want to use the word racist, white liberals are the biggest racists there are.
Right.
Because they're the ones
Against themselves?
No,
Kind of?
No, not against themselves.
Against
because
other white
they go
people.
their kids go to all the good private schools.
Right.
They live in all the high security neighborhoods where they don't have to deal with those people.
Right.
So they could say that. So it doesn't affect them really. I mean, ultimately it will affect everybody, but they have the power to actually live in exclusively wealthy white neighborhoods and call us the ones who are the problem.
Right.
You see, and so they stir up this brew of hatred, and whether it's by some of it's by design, some of it's by pure ignorance. And yeah, there's some of the biggest problems. So I guess you could say, if you call me a racist, then I hate everybody then, right? Because
Right.
liberals, this and that. So, I just point out, it's like I take the police mentality. I don't discriminate. I find out who's behind it. I gather the evidence and I report it.
Right.
Just like you're going to court with it.
And
It
you
doesn't matter about race.
And you don't fall in line with every I don't know, protocol that or every practice that the police even does.
Especially now.
And you highlight that
I
in the book,
speak
too.
out against police state tactics.
Yeah.
I don't like that. But I also defend a heavy hand on bad criminality,
Right.
violent criminality. So, there's everything isn't as black and white as they want to make it, And here's a few statistics. The reason why statistics are important, because now you could verify. It's not my opinion. These are FBI statistics, if you could still find them. 92% of interracial crime is black on white. That's an FBI statistic. Hopefully you'll still be able to find it. That's why I wrote the book.
You said 92%?
90 to 92%.
Wow.
And that's what's reported.
Right.
And now they're also, and then another statistic would be as far as to break the myths. I mean, I fill it with statistics. It's just like right now, it's just difficult to pull everything off my head. But if you ask me, I'll remember it. But this is not an epidemic. Oh, police officers kill more white males than black males.
Oh, right. I've heard that one before. Yeah.
Right. Well, that was the biggest push. What was it, like 2 years ago when you started to really see like the unarmed black men are
Right.
being shot, and this.
But
The
it's
year
a
before,
lie.
I think it was like 2019. There were, I think, 9 black men that were shot while unarmed. But unarmed does not mean not dangerous.
Right.
That's just okay. He didn't have a gun or
Now,
knife.
every
or-
police shooting isn't justified, but we have a court system for that.
Right.
Exactly.
It doesn't mean there's a systematic racism. It just means the cop involved, who knows? I mean, you cannot judge every instance. I mean, it's better to let the law handle that, because we can't judge everybody, right?
Right.
So, but more white males are killed by police officers than black males, and blacks commit the majority, and blacks engage police more than white males do.
Right.
So it seems
Right. They
like-
have more interaction with police, and they still. Yeah. Right.
and there's less of them being
Right.
killed than white. So it seems like cops don't have a problem shooting white people. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
But-
that's a lie.
My pushback on that was, isn't the majority of the population white in America?
Well, when you-
So you're going off statistics of percentages with that, not pure numbers, but like
I'm
that's-
going on
that's the-
engaging the police
Right, but
numbers.
That's the problem. Yeah, right there. Because you can say, all right, there's X amount of white people and X amount of black people, but if they're not all like interacting with the police,
They don't count.
so that's
right. These
so
are
you're not going to get
violent
these.
encounters
Yeah.
with the police. So
And also,
instances where police feel like they need to use lethal force.
the other pushback I'll have to that is it more of a so in sociology classes and other shit, useless shit I'm taking in college.
the reason I dropped out of college.
No, I know.
This is good, though.
No, but the biggest thing that was pushed is, and I don't know if there's an agreement or not, is it's not so much a race issue. It's like a economics issue. It's a socioeconomic issue because of the upbringing in poor neighborhoods leads to having to find other
Right, well,
other
those are
justified
yourself.
to fend
Those are
for
gonna be the
themselves.
higher crime
And that's
areas.
where the higher crime is, and it's mostly those areas are mostly minorities.
Right. So that's kind of my point, I guess, is like you're getting more police interaction in these higher crime neighborhoods that are filled with blacks, Hispanics, things like that. I mean, there's
Right. So your question is twofold. you're saying that it's poverty that creates it, right? And then they're not saying that as much. They're still using the race card, though.
Yeah.
So the poverty thing, now you got to look at that. Blacks have the benefits of affirmative action. They get many government subsidies that white people could never dream of. I list them in my book there. Loans, this and that. I mean, you can get so much.
Admission to college.
Colleges. So there's no excuse. At some point we have to say, if you don't want to bring yourself up, nobody else really can. So now if they use the excuse of poverty, I grew up poor, I never broke the law. So what? Is it because I'm expected to do the right thing? But what's the excuse? I mean, do you think the person who was knocked over the head and robbed by that person is going to say, oh, well, he was poor. I'm poor too, but I got knocked in the head and robbed, so I feel bad for him. Please don't put him in jail. See, it's a world that in sociology class, these professors would love to create that world that they want, but they've never lived it. They don't realize there's another victim involved in crime. It's not always just, the cop arresting a black guy for doing what? For murdering somebody, for assaulting somebody, for breaking into somebody's house who works hard. And the thing is where does it end? It's an excuse building for bad behavior.
I have a question. I hate to cut you off, but I have a relevant question regarding like the new Jim Crow and what we're talking about right now. I have, do you think the people who contribute to reiterate this idea of the new Jim Crow actually contribute to the hindrance of blacks, African American
They're the
community?
biggest enemy to the advancement of black people.
Right.
Nobody doesn't want to see everybody advance in this country. I would love to see people happy and own a home and not feel like they're victimized. But it's the mainstream, which is we can get into, but they're the ones putting it in their heads. From critical race theory at a young age, you're telling blacks that you are oppressed. You're never going to get ahead because your classmate is more superior to you, and they've been suppressing you for years. How could you send a kid to school with that kind of... Even black people don't like that. Nobody wants to grow up thinking you're a victim. What if I grew up as a poor Italian kid and said, yeah, you'd be surprised how many white people don't like Italians. You know, you bastards probably don't like Italians either.
Well, you Ginzaloons, do it to yourself.
With white people, too. It was like... I mean, I grew up with Hispanic friends, black friends, white. But
I don't think the liberals like anybody.
But you go anywhere, yeah, they look at Italians like, oh, fuck you. You know, like, well, they don't say it to me, but they don't like us either. And I had to grow up with whites hating me as a white male and black, and and so it's like I'm like the shit end of the stick, really, if you think about it. So when I hear the white supremacy and white privilege, I'd love to know what white privilege is.
Yeah, and I asked you this the other night. I said, is the term white privilege racist in and of itself?
It's very racist. But now they're saying...
Not to cut you off, just make sure you're a little closer to the
Oh,
mic.
I'm sorry. Yeah,
okay.
Good. It's a very racist statement. If you're going to use... I don't even like the word racist. It's stupid. But if you're going to use the word, they're the ones who are racist. I mean, white supremacy? What's supreme? What are we better at anything else than anybody else, right? And privilege? What privilege did I have growing up hungry in a minority neighborhood? What privilege did I have with parents that could barely speak English from Italy trying to make it? Is that a privilege? So they're using skin. They can label a whole race of people,
Privilege.
different upbringings and everything else. No poor white person says we have right privilege. What does that tell you? It's the rich pieces of shit, rich people, white liberals. And there's even more to it. You got groups like the SPLC, the ADL. These are Jewish groups that really push the anti-white hatred narrative, and they really are behind a lot of this. And I got quotes in my book about prominent Jewish people that talk about how they want to miscegenate whites and destroy our culture.
Oh,
now, that can be unpopular, but they are saying it.
That kind of...
Why don't they? If I bring it up, why don't you question the person who made the statement and say, why did you say that? Don't get mad at me for bringing up the quote. Get mad at them for saying it. You know? That's all I'm saying. Why don't they talk about that in sociology class, you know?
Right.
But I want to hear more about what they teach you.
So I'm really far disconnected, and I took like an entry-level class, so I'm not an
So
expert
they didn't
at
really
all.
brainwash you.
No. So I have a college degree. I did the whole school route. I don't use my degree for anything, but the biggest pushback I'll have to all this is just like how you're saying it to me. This is my opinion on it. Saying you were a poor white kid in a minority neighborhood and saying, why didn't I do this? It kind of, and to me, it makes it sound black and white than the gray it actually is. Your experience, you got out of there. Other people did different things to get themselves in whatever situation they are. So I feel like you saying me, I didn't commit crime, I didn't do this, makes it sound more black and white than.
No, actually, I was responding to the economic part of it.
Yeah.
Because they said being poor excuses criminality. So I'm just using myself as a prime example. I was poor, didn't have money, but I didn't go and steal shit. And I never really made it, man. I just became a cop. I had to work in the gutters and the streets with the nastiest people on earth. And I was one of the best cops on that job, and everybody still knows it. But that's not making it. Being a cop ain't shit. The money you make, that's nothing. That's not making it. But to me, it was making it. I mean, at least where you can have a decent life. But until then, I had all shitty jobs. I was young, but
Did you live in Bridgeport after you became a police officer?
yeah,
still?
for a while. But that's not making it. I never made it. I still didn't make it. I'm living off my pension. That's barely, you barely make it with that.
Mm-hmm.
So no, I never made it. And,
Yeah, police officers definitely are underpaid. I remember.
well, nowadays they're getting up here. They get paid a lot, but
But down where it's actually a harder job, it's actually less money.
It's
I think
less
the standard NYPD officer makes like $45,000 a year. Which
yeah,
is
off the rip, yeah.
fucking.
Crazy.
Now you can
Is
go to
it that low?
Target.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because
50
Putnam
I know-
County was like 55 to start.
I know someone that just got in, and he's NYPD in the Bronx, and he's making like 55, I think. 50
yeah,
grand.
the upper echelon makes all the money. The
Yeah.
guys that do nothing.
in Westchester, where all the people that we're talking about are.
Now,
The people who want to claim white privilege.
The police unions have, like, how corrupt are they compared to other unions, I guess?
I wouldn't say they're corrupt, but I do believe they're politically motivated.
Right.
Because they used to back police officers to a degree, but now they just go along with the mayors of each city and everything. I don't see them really backing their men. And because all you got to do, just like regular politics, is get some asshole in there, and then the mayor, they talk to him and say, "Hey, just play ball. You're gonna do all right for yourself." These people don't care about anybody else. If I misspeak, then maybe I'm wrong, but I don't believe that. I think for the most part, it's just a union, and I don't know what benefits they have for the guys, real benefits that they're doing. And by the way, a city like some police departments have black police unions as well as police unions. Now, I'm going to bring up race because doesn't that sound absurd to you?
Sounds segregated.
It's very, well, no, that's extra protection. So a city like Memphis, right? It's mostly black. So it's not about being a minority anymore. You had a black police chief. They had a black mayor at one time. And they have a black police union, a majority black police department too. So now you have a black police union as well as the regular police union. What does that mean? Does that mean like, if the regular police union isn't enough, black people have their black police union?
Well, even in schools, don't they have like black clubs now and stuff too that
Well, even,
whites literally aren't allowed in?
UC Berkeley, one of the California colleges has black-only dorms. They had black-only graduation ceremonies.
Imagine you having a white.
That's crazy.
White,
Yeah, like we are
so they can do
reverting.
that.
We are going back.
We're going
This is
past
not
the
a good
point of
thing.
Yeah, but the
equality.
difference
Yeah.
is this.
Just like with the women.
It's not the white.
That's it.
It's not the big bad white guy forcing them to have their own. They want it.
Yeah.
So they get to be integrated if they want, and then they get to have their exclusivity. But you can't do it.
Right.
So how is that fair? It all started off as, we just want to give these people an equal chance. Who's against that, right? Then we got to give them a leg up, affirmative action, right? Then we got to say, then they had to start saying, well, we gave them the equality, we gave them the leg up. Now we have to start bashing the former power structures to excuse certain things. Maybe they're not up for the job. I mean, affirmative action doesn't hire the best of blacks. It just hires people with black skin
Right.
to fill a position. You don't even have to. You could score less on a police test and get on. You could score.
SATs are doing the same
Yeah.
thing.
So is that fair? Is that so? Basically, if you're not a high functioning white person with a high IQ and you won't be able to compete even with a regular black person. Is that fair? Just because you're white, you think all of a sudden you got some crown on your head, like, oh, he's white, he's stupid, he's poor, but let's pick him. It's not. It doesn't work that way. People are gonna wake up to this shit. You'll be working at Starbucks for the rest of your fucking life, maybe. You know?
Yeah.
Is that the future you want? That's what you got. It ain't getting better.
No, it's getting worse.
And I think
You're hiring Supreme Court justices who are outwardly racist. That black lady. I don't know if they picked her yet, but
She's still going through it.
but she's a complete racist. She's made many racist statements. You want someone judging things? Does that?
Oh, what do you think about this? I've heard this a lot. Well, a black person can't possibly be racist because racist implies that
oh, there's power.
there's power.
There's
Yes.
power.
That's the stupidest thing I ever heard.
I would
They're
agree.
changing definitions of words
changing
to fit their
definitions of
political
words.
agenda.
Right, because now, people on the other side of the spectrum are allowed to say whatever they want, and it can never be considered racist, which is so crazy.
And you see
that
it on
angle.
the mainstream news, that Joy Reid on MSNBC, right? You ever see the racist? You could look up racist statements made by Joy Reid. Oh, she's out of control, and she's on mainstream news.
That's like Whoopi Goldberg. She's
Yeah,
been
how do you
saying some
get to
crazy
do
shit
that?
too.
We've allowed black nationalism and black racism to flourish in the mainstream. You can say whatever you want. I believe everybody should say whatever they want on whatever platform. But when you make it mainstream and then you cut off a whole race of people to maybe counter the argument,
Right.
that's not
Literally cutting them off as yourself.
Exactly.
We could talk about that.
Yeah, I've been banned from this platform 5-6 years ago, and I never. All I did was point out the truth. The things I said on YouTube were things I could have presented in a court of law to make my point.
Right.
So why would that have been banned?
And didn't they even pull down stuff that featured you in it?
Yeah,
Like-
people tried to put videos of me too, and they get taken off. That name right there is you can't mention it. That's scary.
It's like the N word almost.
And this book, yeah, exactly. And this book has been there's sources, everything, and I got great ratings on it.
Oh yeah, I really wanted to finish it, but working 6 days a week, it's tough. Before I had you on, but I'm like 2/3 of the way through it. It's a very good book, very well written.
And I don't really care about it anymore. I made the bestseller list like 3 times, top 100 in my category, which I never thought I would ever do. But it's documented now because the stuff I put in here is very hard to find now, especially
Right.
coming from a guy who lived it and did the research when you could still research it. It's all gone now. This
Well,
stuff is gone.
And he wrote this in 2015.
Yeah.
Which I think is so crazy because I was telling him the other day, the stuff that he puts in the book is actually more relevant now than it was when he even wrote it,
Right.
which is crazy.
Because
Well, we've allowed there's power in victimhood, and we've allowed it to just continue to progress. I mean, you guys know Asha Burwell. Do we not remember that?
Albany?
In Albany?
Yeah.
Faked hate crime. I mean, it went
That's
nuts.
common everywhere.
Hillary Clinton was tweeting about it. I'd walk over from my apartment to Matt's apartment. I'm getting yelled at from dudes in their apartments.
See?
Like, I'm
so
just
they
fucking
hate you
walking.
for being white. That's why it's so dangerous. What does he have to do with if it was a real hate crime? What does he have to do with it? Nothing. That is pure racism when you attack. Do you guys realize how many old white ladies are being knocked out in the streets with that knockout game?
Oh,
back
yeah, I've
then?
seen that.
They're picking on old white. Imagine if you
I
saw,
saw that a while
white
ago.
person on camera knocking out an old black person. You should be outraged, yes. But why aren't they outraged for the old? This could be your grandmother walking down the street and some young thug knocks her out. That's uncivilized. That is the end of civilization. And to even accept that, shame on anybody who accepts it or hides it, because that's wrong. And listen, I'll look you right in the face. Nobody deserves that. I don't care what race they are. They don't deserve it. And this isn't about putting whites over black. This is about true equality. Do unto others as you would have done unto yourself. I want everybody to do well in this country. But I don't want people to get a leg up just because of the color of their skin. And I don't want people victimized because of the color of their skin. Like guys that just walk around and all of a sudden you got thugs attacking you because the news is pushing a narrative that you're
Right.
such a bad person. That's horrible. And when it affects you, you'll see.
So, do you think that this is another version of the Kalergi plan?
Yes.
What's going on in the
There
U.S.?
are so many elements that nobody will ever talk about, but are right there. Look up Coudenhof Kalergi back in the 1920s.
Kalergi,
They
sorry, I
wanted
didn't
to
say it right.
flood, but it's happening now.
That's what I'm
That's why
kind
you
of trying
see
to point to. Yeah.
the UN calls it migration replacement. Those are all on the books too. They keep changing the names because when we look them up and then it sounds really bad. So then they start saying, "Oh, the population of Europe is getting old, so we need to bring workers in there." People that don't speak the language and that they have to pay and they give free housing and aren't even working. It's just a lie to get them in there. And then,
Well, we're kind of doing the same thing here.
Yeah,
Open up the
exactly.
borders. But COVID.
Right, exactly. So
But everyone wear a mask, but open
but
up the borders.
not the refugees coming across the
Right.
border from Africa. So come on, how are they getting from Africa to South America? Listen, this is all part of the Coudenhof Kalergi, and
You want to explain that a little bit? 'Cause
well, it's a plan. Believe it or not, and everybody can look it up.
from the 1930s, right? That's where the
1920s. This guy, he was the Asian. He was Jewish. But it's now though. I mean, it's now.
Right,
The Kalergi
right.
plan is still happening now, and he says it himself that their goal was to make the white European race a brown, Asian-ish, Negroid race.
Now, when you say he said this himself, Kalergi?
Kalergi.
Okay.
And that's the whole plan. And it's surprising how many people don't know about this. Now,
Yeah, I didn't know about it,
if
to be
a white
honest,
guy
until I went.
said that about Africa and they were flooding whites,
Right.
white trash, whatever you want to call them, into Africa, people would say,
Whoever-
my God, they're genociding the blacks.
Imagine that, whoever.
Why is it good for one side and not for the other? It's just horrible. I mean, I'm sorry, but that's just black and white. You can't refute anything I'm saying because it's all there. And let me tell you something. Looking it up now on Google is harder and harder.
It is. And
Is this not essentially just a form of like modern day colonialism, basically, where we're just
It's worse than colonialism because colonialism in Africa, you were bringing productivity. They were actually bringing work in for the people. Whether they liked it or not, they were bringing work and they were producing. If you look at some of the black cities, like when they were under European control, like Somalia and everything, they were beautiful cities. South Africa was a beautiful place. Now it's the most crime-ridden country in Africa since the end of apartheid. So what I'm saying is our new colonialism is bringing them in, paying them instead of them producing. They're committing the crimes and they silence you. And they're allowing the criminality. I mean, I could go on this forever, but why? I'm giving you main sources. Look at Rotherham, England, the grooming gangs, the Pakistani grooming gangs. So, and it's the Asian, they call them Asian. But Pakistani grooming, they were grooming thousands of white girls, taking them off the streets, and they were raping them and they were using
sex
them
trafficking.
for sex trafficking. The police department didn't want to say anything about it in Rotherham because they would be deemed racist. And now it's opened up. And when the parents complained, they would arrest the parents sometimes. I put a video out a long time ago. I challenged the British cops to a fight in a boxing match. And I wanted to
All
bring
of them?
whoever would have taken it on.
just me with the Girl Scouts.
I challenged those British cops and I said, I'm going to bring out this silence in Rotherham and speak for the victims of Rotherham because you're too cowardly to do it. And if you beat me, then you get to say your part. But if I beat you, see, I just wanted to expose it.
Well, I think a big part of that now too is like you can't speak out about it. And Canada's another one, England, because they have hate speech laws where you're now getting thrown in jail because they said we don't like what you just said.
But they can call anything. Yeah, they can call
Everything's
anything hate speech.
So we've allowed
you
it.
can't.
We learned that the other day.
You can't make laws based on subjective, like feeling. That's all it is. Is I don't like that. You need to go to jail because of that.
Or I don't like that. That's racist.
Right. I mean,
Who did it first? Who made the first hate speech laws in the world? In modern day world?
I have no idea.
I have a feeling you're saying us. You're going to say that. No?
Soviet Union, Communist Soviet Union. Listen, 80% of the communist infrastructure, the top heads of the communist infrastructure was Jewish. Putin said it himself. These are known facts. They made the first anti-Semitic hate speech laws in Soviet Union. I believe it was 1922. And then now, even in Russia, if you question certain things like the Holocaust, you can go to jail. Not censored, you go to jail. There's
Yeah.
22 or more countries. You could look it up right now. 22 or more countries in Europe where you will be jailed for just coming out publicly to question the numbers or whatever you want to question the Holocaust.
Right.
You go to jail. Does that sound European to you?
No. Yeah.
No, but you don't know how serious that is. They put an 85-year-old lady in jail. I forgot her name. But for just saying, look, the numbers don't add up. But so I've all told people before, I said, look at Biden's top 14 picks. They're Jewish.
Oh, right. We were talking about this.
Does that sound diverse to you?
All right, so you're probably gonna know something about this.
This isn't about hating people. I'm just pointing something out.
So I've heard a lot about how the Israeli government officials have essentially like a stranglehold on our politicians, and it's kind of like a I don't want to say like a puppet show, but like a hey, you're gonna do this for us, and it's like a lot of our policy is created in Israel and sent back.
You're right.
That
you
is
want to know why? It's absolutely right. Okay, I'll give you a couple things. Cynthia McKinney, a black congresswoman, you'll find this. She said she didn't win her reelection because she wouldn't take the oath to Israel that all Congress people have to take, an oath to Israel. Do you understand what that means? You take an oath to the United States, not to Israel. So she didn't get elected. She talks about it a lot.
What was she elected for? I'm sorry,
She was a congresswoman
From Georgia.
Georgia, yeah, and she mentions it right on there.
So I'm trying to find I'm on an article that's Cynthia McKinney's anti-Israel campaign.
Well, you're on the ADL, so that's the website he's using is the
It's the first
ADL
one that
website.
popped up.
That's
Right, but you'll find, hopefully, if you could still find it, she mentions not wanting to take the oath to Israel. You should still find something there. So these are things I'm just bringing up that are actually out there. And they're shocking enough, but it's even more shocking.
How did we get to this point then where Israeli officials have any sort of power or control over our own elected officials?
First of all, you got the money. You got the banking system controlled completely by mostly Jewish oligarchs. And then you buy your politicians, you put them in both Republican and Democrat, and then they get the policies that they want. You can manipulate anything you want once you own the political system. And it goes very deep, but I mean, I don't know how deep you want to get into it, but when you talk about having to take an oath to another country, and every Jewish congressperson and senator, which are disproportionately represented, by the way, are dual citizens to Israel. So do you believe every one of them? Do you believe they have America's best interests in mind?
Well,
the Schumers, the Schiffs, these guys are all dual citizens. They're all crooks, every one of them. And Trump's no better. He picked a lot of Jews on his things. He picked Jews for the Fed and all that. He was backed by Sheldon Adelson, one of the biggest, powerful oligarchs in the world. And not to mention the fact that all his kids became Jewish. He wears the yarmulke. He goes to the wall. Why does every American president have to wear a yarmulke and go masturbate to that wall? Why do they do that? But they all do it. Even Obama did it. Yeah. You understand what I'm saying? That's not American, man. So these are just facts.
I never realized that.
Yeah, every one of them. You could look up American presidents wearing yarmulke in Jerusalem.
You'll find all of them, yeah.
Every one of them. So it's not about hating. I know Jewish people, but I don't have to substantiate that. If I condemn the Italian Sicilian mafia for being crooks,
well, then you obviously hate every Italian.
Does that mean I hate every Italian?
Yeah.
Being Italian? No. So why can't we point out the Soroses, the Rockefellers, the Rothschilds, the Gates, who's a crypto Jew? A lot of this.
I want to get into that a little bit.
Yeah.
The crypto
stuff.
stuff.
All these guys, if you talk about them now, it's like you're an anti-Semite.
Right.
Those are the guys with the power. Why would I be anti-Semitic? I'm not calling them out. Only thing I'm saying is why can these guys get away with this just because they're Jewish? You see what I'm saying? Jews should be concerned about this too. So the everyday Jew on the street should realize and say, hey, we need to call out the bad part of this so that we're not deemed part of it. Just like when they say to us, oh, white supremacy, that's why
Right.
blacks will focus on anybody.
Well, that's the goal for of all the media and all maybe it even goes deeper than the media. They want everyone to be butting heads. That's the whole
Well, this
because then
sensationalism is really what drives their profits. So if they can continue to divide these lines and push these ideas of like hate, this group hates you and this group hates you and you got to fight, they're making more money.
But I don't even think it's just about money though. I think it's also about control. The more that we're butting heads as a country, the more that they could just do stuff behind closed doors that no one's ever going to ask any questions about.
There's an agenda behind it. There definitely is. And a lot of what I'm saying is uncomfortable, and people don't want to hear it because it's ugly and you don't feel comfortable. But that's why we're in this position, because they turned their back. At first it started with white flight, leaving the cities. Then you went to the suburbs, and now they're bringing them to the suburbs. And, even HUD has a thing now that every town or city in America that has 50% or more whites has to be infiltrated with HUD housing. And
What is this?
Oh, yeah.
What do you mean by it has to be infiltrated?
Well,
though?
the government will under Trump got rid of it, but now it's reinstated by Biden. Under Obama, HUD housing had a thing, an action where they were every town with 50% or more whites was to be infiltrated with HUD housing.
But how would they? What is their plan to do that?
What is their plan?
Yeah, like how?
Government housing in
Oh,
white
oh,
neighborhoods and bringing in black
Oh,
welfare.
okay. So it's like reverse gentrification almost.
Exactly.
Right. Well, you're kind of seeing that with Pauling.
Yeah.
They're putting in the Section 8 housing down by Hannaford.
Well, that's a plan. That was under Obama and his HUD secretary, that guy, Hispanic guy who ran for president. That guy was Castro. And then Trump got rid of it with his HUD housing, the black guy, Carson, Ben Carson.
Ben Carson,
He's
yeah.
a good guy. He reversed it. But then when Trump lost, Biden put it back into effect.
That's
I mean,
interesting.
why would you have to do that? So they don't want to leave you any avenues anymore. They want everybody to hate each other. And I can tell you why that's going to happen. What's going to happen with that?
To play devil's advocate on the housing thing, what would your argument be if people said that sorry, I was getting a phone call. The reason for putting that type of housing in white, any neighborhoods that are more than 50% white is because that's a better location. So they're trying to get the poverty-ridden community out of the cities,
Poverty-ridden
the inner cities.
community, and putting it into your hard-working community
guess
and
that's
property values.
Right.
What's the logic in that?
Right. Like there is a mindset behind the large majority, I would say, of just poor people. If you are born poor and stay poor your entire life, you're a fucking loser. Like there's so many ways you can get a job. You can always better yourself somehow. If you choose not to, that's your own fucking fault. So when you start taking these kind of people and you put them into communities of, more hardworking people that are, middle class, whatever, you're going to obviously see like a degradation of that community.
So what you worked for is going to be gone. Your property values go down. These aren't people that want to just move to a nice neighborhood because they got a job and they want to live with you. Nobody's stopping that. If you got a hardworking family next to you, I'm all for it. But they work to earn it. It's not government subsidized or free, and then welfare, and then they don't appreciate what they got, and then your property value is gone. And so now you work to get out of that, and now it's gone. It's like nobody, So
That's a good point.
So it's not about race. It's not about, they're making it about race. Nobody wants to stop people from working hard and getting into a nice neighborhood. I'd rather have a nice, decent black family next to me than some meth head white dude next to me.
Yeah, of course.
So obviously so is that racist? No. But they just want to put them in just because they're black and to break up the just like gerrymandering, you know what that is, right? With voting.
Yeah.
They make all these weird voting districts so blacks can have more power even with voting.
Right.
It's all racism. It's like, what is our future? We're not even the majority. I don't know if I spoke about this. White people are 7% of the world's population. We are not a majority. We've never been. If you go to Philadelphia, a majority black city, and you go for a job, you're not going to have the benefits of affirmative action because you're white. It's a majority black, so you as a minority in that city are still going to be treated as a supposed majority, and you get no benefits from that. You won't get the job because you're white. You see
Right.
what I mean?
Yeah,
Is that
yeah.
fair?
No.
It's easy when you have a job and you can. A lot of white people, you know, they have jobs and they say, "Oh, fine, I got a job for now." But there's a lot of people that don't. And that's why they're all on meth now and they're taking opioids. And the opioid thing is really affecting white males more than anybody. But nobody cares about that. How about Trump? You know, remember his rallies? Black unemployment is at an all-time low. Hispanic unemployment's at an all-time low. Female employment's at a low. What do you say about white people? Nothing.
Yeah.
I mean, but is it meant to be like, you can't just say, why can't he just say everybody is doing okay? You can do okay in this country.
So the only argument I'd make, I don't even want to call it an argument. At that point, I mean, during re-election, even when you're looking at his numbers and support among minority groups is really what's pulling him down. If you already have the white support, then I understand kind of pandering to these groups to kind of be like,
you
look,
already have the
vote
white
for
support.
me.
What do? Kick him in the ass and say, fuck you then? Why can't you just say, we got to work together as a country. Let's stop separating it into black unemployment. I mean, I don't know. It's just.
But the same point with Kevin's making is, if that is, so the politics game is stupid. I fucking hate politics in general. But the way their game works is they're gonna target the audience they need to win. That's why Trump's going heavy on the minority audience, because he knows he pulls well enough with the white audience that he doesn't have to address it as much. So I see your point on that, but with Kevin's point, he's not mentioning that because he knows he kind of doesn't have to, because it's not going to affect the polling as much.
I feel like by him mentioning whites too, maybe that would bring his votes down.
Oh, he supports white. He's a white supremacist is the narrative that was painted to begin with.
You're afraid to speak the truth,
right?
Because you're worried about what the mainstream is going to do.
Right.
You see? They're controlling your speech.
No, yeah.
Literally.
What's the smartest way to do it? If you're a real politician, don't mention race. Just say, my constituents. Americans are doing better. Wouldn't that sound better?
Yeah.
And then you don't have to worry about your main target audience, the people that got you in there. So you're going to leave the people that got you out of it because we just assume that we know. That's white supremacy in itself to assume that. I mean, you see what I'm saying? That's white privilege, to be honest with you. Why would I assume that he means well for me if he doesn't even mention me? So the way to beat that is just say, my people, American people, we're together, right?
Well, I think
you don't have to say color. Why you got to use a color? That whole fucking race thing drives me crazy.
Well, I think another problem too is like people are so emotionally driven. So if you can, if that's what it takes for him to kind of get to the emotion of now his black voter base, his Hispanic voter base, his female voter base, if that's what's necessary and you have to win, I guess I get it.
But it didn't work for him the second time. So it's bullshit anyway. If you're doing good for the country, most Americans want to vote for you. Again, he plays into the race thing. And then what happens? Remember, all the white people being attacked in racial crimes every day in the country. He never says anything, but when a Jew gets attacked, oh my God, we got to make new anti-Semitism laws. Why? For one guy? But what about this old lady that was assaulted going to church? Did you see those videos? White lady in church and she gets assaulted? That's never happened in human history. But that's not mentioned. It's insane. And then we get used to it.
It's because the media outlets aren't really. It's not the news. It's whatever agenda they'll promote. It's so you have your CNN and all them are liberal, Fox is conservative. So they're only gonna promote what gives shock value, because shock value sells ads. So if saying this, when COVID was at its height, everything was geared towards Asian hate because the narrative was everything came from China, and now Asian hate's on the rise. So that was the news stories for fucking weeks. And then if the George Floyd thing happens, and now stop black hate is the narrative, and it's the shock value. It's what conscious the
And if you try to stop white hate, then
Did
you're
you
racist.
ever hear them say
No,
stop
no,
white
but
hate?
that's what I mean. That doesn't sell.
It would if they reported it.
I don't know if it would. The
But
shock
what
value isn't
sell?
as heavy. I don't know if what you guys think. I think the shock value on the
But
Asian
it's
hate
a
when
lie. It's a lie anyway.
yeah, it's most of what we hear on those news websites, shows, whatever is bullshit. It's just shock value.
Except
Right.
for the
what-
View. The
what
View
can
is a
sell.
great source for information.
Yeah. Listen, man, I don't agree with that because they've never ever reported the disproportionate attack on white people for whatever reason. It's shocking if you show those videos and show it and see it. But here's the thing: who runs CNN? There's videos that are out there.
Israel.
The top like 100 people in CNN. All the executives are Jewish. White
Jeff,
Jewish people.
what was that guy's name? He just
Zucker,
stepped down.
but they're
Jeff
all, they
Zucker,
got
yeah.
a list, all of these Jews that run CNN. Where's the diversity? They're the ones pushing, oh, why don't you have black people here?
Right.
But why are
Right.
they all white? MSNBC, they admit it. They admit that. So the Jews run 95% of all media in not just the United States, but in other parts of the world. But in the United States, if you do your searches, you'll find 95%. Just look up disparate percentages in Jewish executives running the media, American media. How about Hollywood?
Well, like I said, because the longer they push this and keep us butting their heads, their lives won't change.
Exactly. They're going to benefit from what they're doing, believe me.
Yeah.
We are going to be the stick that gets kicked constantly. So you're going to end up believing it. Then your kids are going to go to school and they're going to end up arguing with you and say, Dad, I'm pissed off for being white. Why did you make me? These poor kids they had Time Magazine, a baby on there. Are you born racist? What the hell?
Wow.
Didn't you see that?
No, I didn't see that.
that's
I believe it.
Look it
Yeah,
up,
I know.
Time Magazine.
That's crazy.
I mean, come on, man. These are things that I look at. See, I'm very perceptive, but we could look at it and say, I got to ignore that. Just like, I shut off TV now. But this is going to affect you. You gave a prime example. You're walking, minding your own business, and they're yelling at you because you're a white dude.
Yeah, I had the old like the crackhead guy. Remember that? I got on the bus. This nasty crackhead looking dude gets on, sees me, and starts screaming about to everyone else. I'm the only white dude on the bus. We need to, this is the last straw. It's time to rise up.
See that shit?
Take
were you
out
in
Whitey.
were you in the back of the bus?
Oh hell
hopefully?
no!
But didn't you use your white privilege, dude?
I showed him my card and he left me
Okay, there
alone.
you go. So
Oh,
we're
he
all
would have
set
loved
then.
that.
I don't have
We
it
used
on me.
he printed, or where'd you get him?
I just bought him.
He bought white privilege
Yeah.
cards.
Can you get me one of those, please? Because I'd love to start using
I think we
it.
actually have them here.
Yeah. Oh yeah,
So-
we should.
So really, the shock value would be showing an old white lady, any old person getting attacked. But the knockout game was all black on white. Show the white lady getting knocked out in a church. Imagine your grandmother getting knocked out in a church just for going to church. Some black people just picks her up because she's white, because of this mainstream hatred factory. That's shock value because it's happening a lot more than the vice versa. But they will never do it, and they never have.
Do you ever even see Fox? We never even see Fox talk about
Fuck
that
Fox.
stuff.
Fox is such propaganda. I used to think, oh, it's
No, I
a
know
little
that.
conservative. Remember that time Newt Gingrich was on Fox News and he was talking about George Soros and that white bitch that was blonde, she used to work for the CIA. She cut him off. And he goes, oh, I guess it's verboten to talk about George Soros. Why would Fox News protect George Soros? Is it because he's Jewish? He's a fucking billionaire who collapses economies. But now you can't talk about him.
Yeah, he's
because
not even allowed in
It's
his own
anti-Semitic to
home
talk
country.
about it. Even though he is a villain, it's anti-Semitic to talk about him. I don't care if he's Jewish. It doesn't matter to me. But he's a piece of shit.
Yeah.
And you got to call him out. If you can't.
You can't not be a piece of shit just because you're Jewish or black or Hispanic or
How
white.
stupid. So they could push hate that affects innocent white people. But if you call out a Jewish oligarch, you're an anti-Semitic. These guys run the world we live in.
Are you born racist? I still can't believe that. That's so
look
crazy.
it up. Look it up. Time
can you
Magazine.
pull it
Are
up?
you born racist?
I'd like to see that.
With a baby's face on it, and that's like prime brainwashing, man.
Well, that's what I was again.
They want you to believe that you're born racist. What fucking privilege do you have? You work fucking 10 hours a day like a dog, and you got to work for it.
yeah,
How about you?
yeah, he's the same way.
Yeah,
We're all
we're
blue
all-
collar folk in here.
See, I like these guys. I like this. All right.
I like to work though. I think it keeps me
Well,
busy.
you have to
so.
work. We all gotta fucking
And I
work.
fucking love money, man.
Yeah,
so the more
well,
I work, the more
That
money I
must be the
make.
Jew in you.
I was just saying, you beat me to it.
You saw the nose, right?
Nah.
But yeah, like that's what I was talking about with you the other day. Like the whole, even like the Helen Keller thing. Like I know it was kind of partially a joke and whatnot. Well, it wasn't for him.
No, she's
But-
a fucking dumb idiot.
Well,
She's a
But
liar.
my point is that,
Fraudulent idiot.
and Dylan kind of was swayed too. They teach you stuff at a young age, and
did
and
you find
instill
that?
it.
Yeah, so it shows. I'm reading the article now. It's
I'm
saying
sorry for cutting.
No,
it's
it's all right.
saying.
I just want to see the
Yeah.
actual cover.
Okay, so this is the article online, and maybe in a magazine it might have been a different
Well,
cover.
there was a cover.
He's got it up here.
But it said it showed a bunch of kids, and then it says there was in a study, 15-month-old toddlers watched an experimenter with a collection of 4 small toys share them either evenly or unevenly with 2 other adult volunteers. When allowed to choose which experimenters the babies wanted to play with, later 70% of them preferred the ones who had divided the toys evenly. Nice, but there was an exception. When the 2 adults were receiving the evenly or unevenly divided toys were of different races. In the race, the one who got more toys was the baby's own. So they're saying with these 15-month-olds, like they preferred to give the toy to whoever was their own race.
Oh, okay. So, but did you see the cover? I really
No, I'm
want
looking
to
for
see-
it too.
Okay, but the thing is, isn't that stupid? Expecting a 15-month-old to act like a social justice warrior already? If they choose that, it's a natural thing.
Right.
So what?
Yeah, but my point with the Helen Keller thing, they teach you. I'm not saying that Helen Keller wasn't real, but I'm just saying like I'm now as an adult kind of questioning it, which I hadn't for all these years because they taught it to me at a young age. So that's just instilled. So now it's a fact. In my head, it's a fact. You know what I mean? You can't think for yourself when you're that young. You're learning something in school, which now they're trying to push CRT. You're learning something in school. You're going to know it as fact. When you learn it
in
that
school,
young.
you'll respect your teacher. You will say yes, that's fact.
Right,
You don't
especially-
have that deductive reasoning yet.
Exactly. And again, back to the sociology thing. That's part of the reason I ended up leaving school is because I was like, how are they teaching me something that literally has theory in the term? You know what I mean? How are you teaching that as a fact? How are you educating me on something that is a theory? It doesn't make a lot of sense to me.
Exactly. Just like the theory of evolution. You know, those are theories. I don't want to get into that, but it doesn't matter. But what I'm saying is what you're taught in school will stay with you the rest of your life. And now they don't even want to get rid of critical race theory. They've been teaching it for a long time now. This isn't just happening now.
Right.
And then the parents are called domestic terrorists because they're complaining about what their children are learning in school. I mean, they have a right to say, I don't want that. If you want your kid to learn it, send them to a class that teaches it. Just like they have language classes, French, English, Italian, German, you Spanish. You could send them to different classes. Why do you have to all be indoctrinated?
Yeah.
You know, it's what they want.
Correct me if I'm wrong. I want to talk about the parents' rights in education. The Don't Say Gay bill. I didn't even, you know how hard it was to find the actual name of it? Because all I saw when I Googled it was Don't Say Gay. I tried Googling what.
And the word gay isn't even in the bill.
Yeah. And so I was Googling what is the Don't Say Gay bill actually called, I think. It was like my Google search. And I couldn't find it. I had to scroll like 2 or 3 pages over to actually find the parents' rights in education name.
Did you end up reading it?
Yeah. So basically, if you don't know, this bill, it prohibits classroom discussion about sexual orientation or gender identity in certain grade levels.
It's
on a-
kindergarten.
I'm pretty sure
through
until 3rd grade, which is why the fuck are you
Why?
talking about any
And
of that
people
shit
are
before that
and you got
anyways?
Disney protesting it? Are you
Yeah.
kidding me?
Yeah, as if anybody says yes, take my 7-year-old and teach them how 2 men peg each other in the asshole.
Yeah,
I
like,
know,
what
and
the
Disney's
fuck?
a
We don't even have
perverted thing
you don't
anyway.
even have the sex talk in schools until like what, 6th grade, 7th grade?
5th grade, you get the movie. That
Okay,
was what
maybe
it was
5th.
called, right?
But
The
either way,
movie.
it's after grade level.
Oh, we didn't
Right.
have that until high school when
Really?
I grew up.
Not
Yeah.
it wasn't so much like sex ed. It was just like
The movie. like, yeah.
they called it the movie. It was like this whole thing. Girls and guys split, and then you watched the movie, and it just taught you about your reproductive organs. It was the girls saw their shit, we saw our shit, and that was it. It was a bigger deal than they really needed to.
I don't-
do that anyway, right?
I don't understand how and why people are protesting the bill. It makes no sense to me. I mean, what can someone play devil's advocate even?
It's because I think a lot of people push back, especially in the LGBT, whatever other letters they add now. I'm a terrible person.
QT.
Whatever. But I think a lot of the people who push back are the radical liberal type people who believe like you're trans before a certain age. So I believe like those people are pushing back heavy because it doesn't let those individuals, those kids or whatever identify all that
however
shit,
you want.
which
Sure.
I don't. Before third grade, you're a fucking kid. Just let kids be kids.
Exactly.
I didn't even think about
Can I
pussy when I
explain-
was in third grade.
Can I explain something?
I
to you?
didn't. Did you?
Here's how it all starts, right? Remember when the gay thing was, oh, don't do violence to gays, right? Remember? Because people would do that stupid shit, right? Don't let them be themselves. Just whatever they do in the bedroom, leave them alone, right? I guess we can all agree with that.
Yeah.
If you do whatever you do, but where did it go from whatever you do in the bedroom is your own business? Now
It's everybody's business.
it's everybody's business. If you don't say the right word, you're an outcast.
You're a homophobe.
You don't get if your kids don't learn it in school, you're a horrible person and they're going to take their kids away from you. You see where it always goes?
Yeah.
When you don't stop it, it goes from let everybody do their own thing to you better accept this or
Right.
else.
I think if you actually allow these conversations and enable them in schools, I think it actually could confuse kids on their own sexuality more so.
Of course it does. Well, how many kids are thinking now, oh, I want to be a girl or I want to be a boy?
And people are
It's
letting
crazy.
Remember when tomboy was a thing? That was just like a girl who like dressed like,
She wanted to
like
play
a dude
football.
and wanted to play football and skateboarded and shit, and that was just like their thing.
Now, when they're playing football, they can identify as a male, and then when they're not, they can identify back as a female instead of just being a tomboy.
Yeah, well, it's all confusion that's being brought about. I can get into a whole different realm. Biblically.
The Disney thing. So I read that they had this walkout thing. I don't know if it was at the actual Disney, like one of the theme parks or whatever. I didn't really get into it that much, but I found this interesting. This article showed that they suspended political contributions in Florida. Does that mean that they are a heavy donator?
Well, the bill, it's a Florida bill. It's not a federal bill.
Right.
So they're saying that Florida, that this don't say gay bill is, homophobic and this and that, whatever. So we can't contribute to Florida anymore.
But in what way were they contributing?
Oh, I'm sure they donate.
That's
I'm
what
sure
it's,
they donate.
that's what it's
lobby
regarding,
back.
though, right? The donations and shit.
Yeah.
So I just thought that was weird.
Well, Disney's a weird, perverted thing.
How many
now
of them just
anyway.
got arrested for trafficking?
Yeah,
they were like there was
3
like
weeks ago,
huge
like
thing.
100
It was
of
like
them?
Well, the
16
higher ups
employees, like
Disney?
4 judges, like
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a
bunch
bunch
of-
of,
many
a bunch of
employees-
Disney employees
For
went
sex
down for
trafficking?
sex trafficking.
But
yeah.
if you
So-
look at the new Disney, they're pushing a lot of sexuality on their shows anyway. Remember Miley Cyrus before when she was with them? Not that they'll show clips of her when she's like I'm swinging on poles on
Oh, yeah.
Disney. I mean, come on. That's ridiculous. The kids shouldn't look at shit like that.
And then Florida's also doing that DeSantis just signed that financial literacy bill.
That's
Which
good.
is awesome. Yeah.
like the fucking fact that it took to 2022 for someone to like make it so kids understand how not to be fucked once they graduate high school to a point.
All right, well, here, I'm going to pose a counter here. I don't know how I feel about it yet. Why are parents not doing these things?
I
Like,
agree.
My dad was huge on you need to learn how to control your money. I remember I was like 4. I'd get birthday money. I'd go, all right,
you
we're
are
going-
Jewish, aren't you?
and we're opening you a savings account. Like, okay, all my I get, Christmas, however much money I get. He'd say, all right, here's $20. You get to spend that. The rest of this, you are going to save because you have to learn to save because you're going to need things in the future. Why aren't parents doing
But
this shit?
a lot of fucking parents in the United States are terribly irresponsible when it comes to their finances. A fuck ton of debt and very poor off. So that's why this is great, because at least if they're not getting it at home,
And why do you think parents
there's a place to understand. Like
are bad?
if you look at all of us to a point, I don't know if you still have student loan debt at fucking 17 years
Yeah,
old when we were
that's-
applying to
that's
colleges.
amazing.
Did we have any idea the repercussions of that? You can't bankrupt on it. It follows you your whole life. If you have a parent who co-signs it and you don't pay it, their Social Security gets hit with your loan. There's so like student loan debt.
Grandpa Joe was gonna
He's not going to do
eliminate
shit.
all that.
He got elected almost to a point that he said he was going to do something with it because everyone was like, all the people with this was it $1.2 trillion of student loan debt or whatever the fuck it is.
They want everybody impoverished. They don't want you out of debt. That's the fucking whole idea is that the banking system wants you in debt.
Right.
So I think it's a great thing. I can't believe more schools don't do it. I did take a class, but it wasn't like mandatory my senior year on shit like that. But
Did we talk about on the podcast the video of DeSantis when he went to some
mask
school
thing?
down there, and he was like, "Really, take the mask off. It's over. It was awesome.
What is
that
this
was
theater?
Awesome.
To go back real quick to the Don't Say Gay bill, this article, which is ABC, that does not help anything, is saying that LGBTQ activists and legislators against the bill say that the topics are not inherently sexual, inappropriate, or shameful and should not be treated as such. They say banning the topics from the classrooms will make it harder for the youth to feel welcome, or the LGBTQ youth to feel welcome and safe in schools. They are expected to have a negative mental health impact.
All right, but by saying that, they're implying that there's any kindergartner, any kindergarten level boy that walked into school and went, "Yep, I'm a queer and I'm gonna suck some dick today." Like, wait until I get on the playground. That doesn't happen.
But also to the other side of that, like the bullying in terms of shit like that, I feel like doesn't really happen until like you're a teenager, anyways. Like, not saying like it's right
because
or wrong
nobody
or different,
knows.
because it's not like I don't remember anything. I mean, I don't remember much in elementary school to begin with, but I don't remember any topic of sorts being ever discussed or anyone getting like ridiculed. Someone dressed fruity that no one gave a fuck.
Well, that's
you
what
were
I'm
a
saying.
dumb kid.
We didn't even think about girls. I don't think at that point yet.
Nah, I'd
Really?
say like
Well, it all comes down to the
7th grade.
stupid parents not getting involved in what their kids are learning. And then when they do,
Now
you
they're
know,
terrorists.
They're called terrorists.
Right.
So America's got to look at themselves and say, do you think this is the America you think it is? Do you really think you're free? What are you free to do? Yeah, you're free to work.
Not put videos up on YouTube.
Yeah,
I
so
mean,
that-
like really?
Yeah, so that's really free.
You said something that was interesting the other day when we spoke. You would consider yourself someone who I guess used to love your country, right?
I used to.
And he said that he wouldn't even wear the American flag, or you don't even respect the American flag anymore.
I don't give a fuck about the American flag. You know why? The American flag doesn't give a fuck about you. Here's two things. When they want you to go to war, they want you to wave the flag. For what war? Vietnam, to fight communists that we're friends with now, or the when you wave the flag when you want to support a thing and they call you a white supremacist for waving the flag. But what does the flag stand for? The flag stands for what do you call that? Systemic racism against the so-called majority of its own people.
Right.
Our country discriminates against us. And I don't see any benefit for being an American right now. I don't care. You guys could disagree with that, but I wanted to die for this country at one time. I was too young to go to Vietnam. I wanted to go to Iraq. I was probably too old for that. But it was like I wanted to die for my country. I thought that was cool, but that was stupid. You know, you grow up watching war movies. Oh, well, at least those guys. Our military has never fought for our freedoms. Tell me one. I'll give you a quiz. What war did our country fight for our freedoms? Name one in the past 50 years.
Yeah, my first thought was the American Revolution, but that's not.
Well, that's a long time ago.
Right.
That was yeah.
But I'm just saying that's where my mind went.
yeah, because
was
that's the only.
pre-America.
What does that
war.
tell you? Yeah.
Name a war. Vietnam? No. Iraq?
Oh no! Any war in the past
Afghanistan?
50 years,
That's what I'm saying.
and even World War II, you could argue was to help Europe more so than us, because
World War
it
II
wasn't
was-
until Pearl Harbor that we got involved, because that was an attack on our soil.
Right.
But that was more of an influence from Europe, I guess, because Hawaii was a strategic point for our allies or whatever. But
Right. There's a lot going on. With
there's a
World
lot
War
going on
II.
there, but yeah, I mean, every other war has been
Every other war is bullshit.
not for the reasons we were told.
Yeah, and it didn't do anything for our freedoms. That's the main cause.
Yeah.
World War II, if you want to get into that some other time. Japan, it attacked us because they knew we were going to do that too. I'm not giving Japan a free pass, but Europe we could have stayed out of. But we were involved in that war long before Pearl Harbor. We were shipping
Shipping,
supplies
yeah.
over, sinking
Yeah.
German submarines. And
Well, look at was it the Lusitania, right? We packed full.
that
of
was
fucking,
World War One.
That was World War One.
But that was a
that's
false flag
U-boat.
too. We allowed that to get sunk to get us into World War One. You see, that's already known. Those are facts.
Yeah.
Just
I
like
didn't know
Vietnam
that.
was a false flag. America said that the Vietnamese attacked our ships there. They didn't. Even Westmoreland admitted it in his book. They just used it as a pretext for war. But if we were so against communism, why did we side with the Soviet Union during World War II? The Soviet Union was allied with Germany as well. The Soviet Union attacked Poland as well. The Soviet Union took over all of Eastern Europe after the war. So why didn't we fight for Eastern Europe becoming communist? You see, this is bullshit. We won't get into it now because it's way too specious right now.
Deep, yeah.
But so what I'm saying is, you asked me that question. No, I mean, no, I don't give a shit. I don't consider myself loyal to any country.
So who do you
I'll
think?
obey its laws. That's about it.
Who would you say benefits most then from all this pointless? I mean, it's all pointless bullshit war.
Bankers,
So then why, I guess?
politicians, the rich, and the industrial arms complex. They do the wars because everybody makes money on these wars. Why? But there's also other agendas behind these wars. Look at this war and supposed war in Ukraine and Russia. They want that because now they can raise our gas prices. They can cut off our food supplies and blame it on that stupid war. But why would that affect us? You see what I'm saying? So they want to impoverish
Well, yeah,
us.
and the prices were already going up before we even stopped getting
it's
shit
all
from Russia.
bullshit.
Well,
Yeah.
and they say, what is it, 3% of our oil is from Russia
Yeah.
anyway, so it shouldn't really go up as drastic
Well,
as it
actually,
was. Has been.
since we cut off them from the supply chain, it went up for like a week or two, like it skyrocketed, and then now it's starting to go down a little bit again. So
It's still pretty high,
Still
though.
like 450.
no, I know.
In town, fucking 527 for premium. I put premium in my car. Fucking crazy. But
I'm
you go to
saying
Westchester, it's
I'm just
cheaper.
saying it plateaued a little bit. So the
Yeah.
Russia thing doesn't really. I'm kind of reiterating your point that the Russia thing doesn't really affect us.
The U.S. has enough reserves to produce oil for the whole
But we're
world
not.
if they want. Well, that's because of the climate assholes. That's why I hope you don't believe in that shit. The climate thing
yes.
is only to, again, further impoverish the Western world because we used to make everything. Now, why doesn't anybody have a problem with China and India polluting the world?
Well, that's the biggest thing.
You know?
Look at what the Paris Climate Accord.
Yeah.
So we pull out, and everyone says, "All right, this is a terrible idea. Look what it's going to do to the environment. All this." China and India are in it, but they're exempt from anything until 2030, while they're continuing to take our fucking money to
Exactly.
be the world leaders in pollution.
Yeah.
And nobody gets this. Nobody will take a step back and say, all right, why are we giving you money to not follow these fucking guidelines that we have to follow?
Everything
It's-
that's
you're
been
getting me
done
going.
and is still being done is to destroy the West, especially the United States. America could never be taken over militarily. You have to do it to make us infight. You got to be politically corrupt. You got to bankrupt our nation. You got to not use what we can do right here with what we got. We don't make it. We went from a manufacturing country and a lending country to a consumer country and a borrowing country. You are not the most powerful. And how does that happen?
And that was over the course of what, 4 decades, 5 decades? That it
Yeah,
really changed?
exactly.
I mean,
I remember when credit cards weren't even really used. I said, I'm never going to use one of those. Why would I want to pay interest on money I don't have? But here's the thing. The American military spends more money on our military than the next 7 countries. We're talking about Russia, China, and other powerful countries.
Yeah.
Why would we need to spend more than the next 7 countries combined?
that are
combined.
a lot fucking bigger. China is
Right.
a lot fucking bigger than us.
But why would we need that? We lose wars. We went out of Afghanistan. Did we gain anything out of Afghanistan? No. We
left a
left
lot of money
billions
there.
of dollars worth of shit there.
Well,
Why would we need to leave anything? They're destroying this country, and Americans are still waving the fucking flag. Yay, let's vote.
well, we need that money in the military because how else are we going to pay for gender equality classes
Yeah.
in the Marines?
Exactly.
You know?
We don't need the bases, and we fund NATO. Okay, you got Europe. Europe has their own militaries. We're still funding NATO, and then you got the fucking UN. So let me tell you something about the UN. Did you guys ever hear about Strong Cities Initiative, Strong Cities Network? Did they
not
teach you
aware
that
of
in
it.
sociology?
No.
I'm being a
You're
prick
good,
right
you're
now.
good, you're
Don't worry
good.
about it. Of course they're not going to teach you that. What,
To
what did,
me,
what did I tell you about?
Yeah,
it?
to me, when I did some research on it, it almost seems like a militarized policing, like of
Yeah.
the U.S. Yeah.
Yeah.
So what I read, I just put up a definition in here, just one that I copied and pasted that I saw just to throw it out
Okay,
there.
now where'd you get this from? You didn't take my word for it, right?
No,
You
no.
researched
No, I
it.
researched it, yes.
Okay, thank you.
The Strong Cities Network works to prevent the challenges of hate, polarization, and extremism by identifying and addressing the local drivers behind these global threats, whether through intensive capacity building projects or standalone research and analysis. We work on actually, this is from their website. We work on a diverse set of members, needs to build evidence-based policy and globally informed local practice. Extremism.
In other words,
Yeah, militarized policing.
right. What's extremism? Calling out false, compromised voting.
In other words,
Parents being angry that their kids are being perverted in schools. That's extremism.
Right.
So anything would be extremism now. We see what they label extremism. So basically, in a nutshell, they're saying, and again, if you look at the cities on the Strong Cities Initiatives, many U.S. cities, including New York City, Chicago, if the crime gets out of hand in those cities, they are legally able to police the streets of the United States with UN tactics, throwing out the rule of law that we've had for 250 years. Who signed it in? Loretta Lynch under Obama. They didn't sign it out. It's still there. So that means that we become a UN protectorate if crime gets out of hand. What's crime getting out of hand? Releasing criminals.
so the UN would enforce.
They would enforce.
They would basically have rule.
And they
over
would
it.
be as useless as they are everywhere else
Yeah,
where they
right.
peacekeep. But it's just to get them in. Why do you see all UN trucks in the United States? This isn't a conspiracy theory. It's on their website. They just
Yeah, I
they're
just
gonna
remembered I
enact
got
it
this
when they feel
quote
they
from
can.
their website.
When the people start begging them, oh, we need something. We got to do something about crime. Okay, you could start by locking bad guys up, letting cops do their job, not limiting cops what they could do with violent criminals. Stop hiring Soros-funded DAs that are making crime not crime anymore. They've actually said that if you steal under $1,000 in certain cities, it's not going to prosecute it.
Yeah, that's the big thing with California right now. It's
Yeah.
all the smash and grabs.
Right.
Actually, it's not just
And
California.
you can't
but
stop them. You're not allowed
You're
to stop.
supposed to just let them.
It's amazing, isn't it? So then when that gets truly out of hand and the people say, hey, we got to put our foot down. Oh, we will now. We're going to use Strong Cities Initiative because all of the racist cops, we don't want them shooting these poor smash and grabbers. So let's use the UN because they know how to do it. You get it?
Yeah.
So this is
And I
not
actually
too
have a-
far off in our future. This is on. Listen, for anybody doubting it, for all the 20 people watching this show, no, I'm kidding. Because, they're going to, I'm sorry. No, come on. They're going to fucking censor this shit. Yeah, that's fine.
Hey.
No, come on. It's fine. Put this all over the fucking place. Listen, I even forgot my point now. For all the people watching this isn't me talking. This is the fucking website. This is signed into law. And if you think it's not going to fucking affect you, it will. Are you bleeping me out? No, you can't do that, huh? No, swear words, is that all right?
Yeah.
Fuck yeah.
there's-
All right. Okay. All right. So it's, again, I don't make things up. I only look at things, evidence, and say, wow, that's fucking weird. Why doesn't anybody know about that? Why don't they talk about that?
Yeah.
People are going to football games and baseball games and they're all like la-di-da, like everything's okay. It's not okay. Let's put it that way. It's not okay. And it doesn't mean you got to live all in fear, but if enough people don't know about this, how come nobody's ever asked the question to a politician? Why would we allow UN troops to patrol American streets? Why would we allow that? Strong Cities Network. They'll cut you off. Oh, you're anti-Semitic or something. I don't know.
Right. That's always the answer.
You're anti-UN. All right, whatever.
I had a quote here from your book, actually, that's pretty relevant to the strong. You weren't talking about the Strong Cities Network, but you were actually talking about policing in general. It just kind of goes along with this. The answer is not a militarized or federalized police force, which that kind of is. All the equipment made for warfare will protect no one but the cop himself, and if he abuses his authority, he will be investigated by the very agency he works for, and the public will have no legal satisfaction or recourse for lack of accountability. And if police are federalized, there will be no higher authority to appeal for those abuses.
Exactly.
which is a great point.
And remember this, though. The politicians are weaponized as well. If they use those police forces without accountability, they could do whatever they want. We become complete slaves. And they're not going after bad guys with those militarized units usually. They're going to be using those for, I mean, I got a quote in the book too where some of the sheriff's department with those big MRAP trucks said, "Oh, we got to keep an eye on the constitutionalists and pro Second Amendment guys." You see what I'm saying? They're not saying smash and grabbers. They want to go after guys that are typical real Americans.
Yeah.
So so basically there's so much in there that shows how ridiculous what they're doing, how crazy it is, and how it's really not going to help anything. It's only going to be used for, like, look at what Biden did, right? He was worried about another January 6th, so he gated up the whole White House, right? The Capitol, put military out there. Remember when they were saying they didn't want to use the military on the border because they didn't want to do posse comitatus? You know what posse comitatus is, right? You're not supposed to use military on U.S. soil to police Americans, which they've used all along. But now they could use it to prevent possible violence at the White House,
Right.
but not on the border.
Right.
But when did they use military? During the desegregation, they used airborne regular army to force white kids to go to school with black kids because they didn't want to.
That's right.
At bayonet point, you could look it up. There still should be some pictures there. Not National Guard, airborne. They had the 101st Airborne. And they got white kids in dresses with their books with bayonet, making them go to school. That's not posse comitatus. The hypocrisy in this fucking country is out of control. It's so ridiculous. See, a guy like me, I retain this information, and I'm saying, God, if either everybody's stupid, or they just don't want to know, or they just don't know where to start. Like, you guys are smart guys. I could see that. You know?
Yeah.
I mean, you may not look that smart, but you're smart. I know, I'm kidding.
I don't look smart.
No, I'm kidding. Come on. I like to mess around. But you're smart guys, but you don't know a lot of this shit because you were never taught it. And
Right.
what's going to make you look it up? I don't even know how when I looked and researched the book, but I also knew, because of being a cop, I knew that, wait a minute, that's not what they're saying, because I see a different story on the ground.
Yeah.
You understand?
Yeah.
Oh, God, there's so much we could talk about, but
I do
how
want
long have we been going now?
Hour 23.
How long do you usually go?
Right around this, but do you guys mind if we go a little bit longer?
Yeah, I don't
No,
care.
I got probably another 35 minutes before I
You
have
can
to
even
leave.
break it up and put it on all over the place or whatever.
Yeah, I want to talk about universal basic income a little bit.
All right.
You guys know about this, right? A little bit.
Yeah.
So I know that
Andrew Yang.
Yeah, is it Yang?
Is it Andrew
Yeah.
Yang?
Yeah. Andrew Yang was an advocate of this. Does he have any significant ties or affiliations to anyone overseas or anything like that?
I have no idea.
Because universal basic income seems like a step towards communism, like almost a step towards potential complete communism. No?
yeah.
Slavery, too, because it's a welfare system. They're giving it out in California in some places now, UBI.
Really?
Oh, yeah, they're using it. If you could look up universal basic income in California.
The form I'm talking about it, I'm not
on a
talking about
small
it.
scale.
I'm not talking about it for welfare, but because
No, it's
when-
not welfare, but it's UBI. They're calling it UBI.
right.
But
But they're using it in welfare programs. Is that what you're saying?
no,
Well,
it's a
essentially-
form of welfare. Now, the UBI, right? You actually has to have a job. To
Oh,
make
you're
it
calling
not
welfare. I got you. I get what
Okay,
you're
so
saying.
if
I
you're
get what
getting
saying.
UBI, what are you going to do to get it? They're not even saying, oh, you'll work somewhere. But what if you are working in the field you're in now, and they said, well, you're not going to make what you're making now. You're going to make what we fucking tell you you're going to make. That's your UBI. Are you going to be happy with that? Are you going to
No.
be motivated to go to work
course
with
not.
maybe 1/5 of what you're making?
Of course not.
Of course not. Nobody will. But that's what they want. And
Yeah.
they also want you to be in smart cities. You guys got to look up the Great Reset, the World Economic Forum. You'll own nothing and you'll be happy. These are their words.
That wasn't that like a New York Times article?
Yeah,
You'll own nothing
it's
and
real.
be happy.
It's real. These
Pretty
people
sure
are
that
talking
was.
about it. This is your future. So what they're saying is you're going to all live in cities. And in fact, that's another UN thing with that the Great Reset, whatever they're talking. Agenda 2030, real thing. It's a real thing. It's not my thing. They're saying in the future, nobody's going to live in the suburbs. Nobody's going to live in the country. You're not going to own land. You're going to live in these big smart cities and collecting your UBI. And that's what they want.
That sounds awful.
It is awful, especially
like
if you don't want that.
Sounds
But
Sounds like a bunch of communist gobbledygook.
it's worse than communism because in communism, in Russia, they let you own places in the country and shit like that. This is past communism. This is New World Order.
See, I thought universal basic income was a monthly supplement to give you a little bit of extra income boost. Is that not what it is?
I think depending on how you look at it, it was geared towards giving you enough to like have a roof over your head, which obviously $1,000 a month is not putting a roof over your head anywhere
Right, and where is this
anymore.
money coming from?
And like pay for your basic, like what you need to survive and not be homeless and hungry.
But when they say universal, that means everyone would get it.
Yeah,
That's everything.
and then that would the struggle with that is decreases the value of the dollar because everyone's getting it.
But there won't be a value dollar anymore. See, we went from gold standard, right, to petro, right,
Yeah.
to now digital. That's why they want digital, because now they'll print money out of thin air.
Yeah, it's
Banks
just
will go to digital.
a
That's
number
what
on the
they
screen.
say they're going. So now digital is backed by nothing. And if it's a world system, they could just say, look, we do what we want. We'll
Digital
print
meaning
out-
crypto, right?
No.
No, they're trying to get away from paper money to
Oh,
have
completely.
a digital U.S.
It's-
dollar or
it's
whatever you want to
ether.
call it.
It's not real.
Right.
It's not real money. It's the
it's
Fed.
the concept.
It's like
Which I think is going to
world
push
Fed.
people towards Ethereum, Bitcoin, and all those cryptocurrencies on
but
the
they'll stop
blockchain.
you from doing that. You want to know how?
Oh, countries are already doing it. China
here-
banned it.
But here's what they're doing, and this is where
El
it's gonna go to.
Salvador adopted it. Did you know that?
Was it El Salvador or Venezuela?
They became the first country in the world to recognize Bitcoin as official currency.
Right, but it won't last long.
Well, because
though.
their dollar was worth
yeah, they got Zippo.
nothing.
But it won't last long. They want to suck everybody into that. You do whatever you want. But people say, "Oh, I'm stocking up on gold. Gold's going to be worthless too." The dollar's not backed by gold, and if you're hungry and the world wants to barter, they're not going to barter for gold. They're going to barter for food and other shit that's necessities. So basically, if you have a digital system, the money. See how they did it though? Gold used to back our dollar until Nixon got rid of it. Right? We
Gold
had
standard,
Gold
yeah.
standard. Now the petrodollar, which they're destroying right now, because now even Putin said, "Oh, he's not going to use the dollar anymore."
gonna
They
use
were using the dollar. That's why the U.S. dollar is so valuable, because
Right.
it's the petrodollar. I don't know how they got to that point, but now when you do the digital is basically out of nowhere, just like the Fed, just like they're printing money right now for the government that's spending crazy. And if we had that UBI, wouldn't it be nice if they maybe did something for the homeless? But why is homelessness on the increase in the country? They're not doing anything. They want it to get so bad that people will just give up and they'll give in to anything. They'll say, well, just do something about it. We don't want everybody out there in the street taking drugs, fucking shooting up in the middle of nowhere. It's just like a dystopia beyond belief. Nobody wants that. It's ridiculous. Is that freedom? That's not freedom. That's freedom to destroy civilization. Civilization comes with a cost. You have to kind of behave yourself to have a nice life.
There's a responsibility
Yeah.
behind just the concept of freedom too. I feel like it's
Yeah.
the freedom to do the right thing, not the freedom to just fuck up and
Yeah,
you know.
and you guys don't realize how many freedoms we lost. I'm old, man, and I realize how much different things were. And you guys are accepting what we call freedom now. But this is, to me, it's like, wow, it's not that free. It's not that you can't buy a car and do, but then you put yourself in a debt slavery thing too. And debt is kind of a form of slavery too. I mean, if you're over encumbered with it. But so again, here's how they're going to do this thing, the digital thing, and they're already been talking about this for years. They're going to make you take some type of microchip, and that will say, how much you have.
Neuralink.
Huh?
And he didn't. We were talking about this. He brought up the microchip thing, and I said, "Is that what Neuralink could be?" And he's like, "You didn't really know much about Neuralink," and I was kind of going over it.
Neuralink's Elon.
Yeah.
That could be the chip he's
downloading
trying to do.
information into your brain.
Yeah, exactly.
Shit like that.
But they want your information somewhere on you where you don't need to carry anything. You just go like that. Okay, he's
Yeah.
and but again, they want to go beyond that too and make sure that you don't have any more money than the next guy does. You see what I mean? But they're doing that for total control. And that's where it gets into the biblical thing, which we won't get into now because it's all been prophesied. And that's how you could really know what's going on, because then everybody will say, that's just the world. Maybe it's better. They know more than us. No, this is a demonic attack, and you could see how things are going. But, you know, we don't have time to get into that right now.
So you mentioned the Great Reset too.
And, yeah.
Every time I was trying to find stuff about it, all it says like how the the top couple articles were, how the Great Reset got hijacked by a conspiracy,
Yeah.
like shit like that. And then what was another one? I read a conspiracy theorist would define the Great Reset as the global elites plan to instate a communist world order by abolishing private property while using COVID-19 to solve overpopulation.
They say it themselves. They said it themselves, though. They say the commercial itself. That's the Great Reset. That you'll own nothing and be happy. They want you to believe that if you have nothing and if you get this UBI thing,
You'll be taken care
you'll
of.
be happy. You don't have to worry about it anymore. You don't have to go to do this. But that's what they want, and that's a conspiracy. So it's a conspiracy theory to repeat what they're saying. And the COVID thing, I gotta say, was all bullshit too, because that's how they locked the world down. They've never been able to do it. Now they can do it.
Well, back to the COVID, or back to the UBI thing. I said to you that it almost seems like the stimulus and the boost in unemployment was almost a form of a trial run for UBI.
Yes, because how many
If you
people
wanna
in the
get-
beginning accepted being locked down for a couple of weeks, right? Oh yeah, we'll do our part. You know, we're gonna stay home. Oh yeah, that's cool. And now they're
Especially in
gonna
New
send
York,
us-
they boosted unemployment
Yeah,
by $600 on top
yeah,
of
That was
So-
like countrywide. That wasn't just New York.
Yeah, that was countrywide.
right.
Yeah.
$600 on top of normal
Some
unemployment
people
was.
were making $1,000 a week
To do fucking
to
nothing.
nothing, and so they're part of the problem because they'll do that forever. So basically, they know they could do it forever. All you got to do is say, "Hey, we'll give you this money. You can do whatever you want." Nobody's working. Nobody's doing anything.
And then on top of that, they were getting a stimulus.
yeah.
If they made less money.
We gave
Right.
stimulus money to fucking prisoners.
And then I found out too, when you try to get some contract work done, guys are having a hard time getting young men to work because they're making more money staying home. You see how you disrupt the system? All you got to do is give free money out to people, and they think it's going to come forever. But that's how COVID took off. That's how it took off, and nobody questioned it in the beginning. Nobody wanted to question it. They wanted to stay home and make money and not worry about it. And all of a sudden, everybody who called fake news out believes that there's this dangerous pandemic all of a sudden. So now you believe all the fake news all of a sudden? How stupid and fickle are people? Oh, I believe CNN now
Yeah.
because I'm collecting on it. It's stupid. I knew it in 2 weeks. And now they're saying, oh, yeah, it's definitely, they said it was from bats. They lied. I knew that right from the beginning. And then they said, oh, it's from a lab. I don't even think it's from anywhere. I think it's the flu because nobody's dying from that. People are known to die. And when you give all the thousands of dollars to hospitals to report COVID deaths, everything becomes a COVID death. Everybody reports that they're saying a motorcycle accident, COVID death, gunshot, COVID death, because they're making money. This all it is this filthy lucre. That's what they're doing.
It's just crazy how the theme of everything here, too, is almost like globalize, or, you know what I mean? It's scary.
Yeah.
It really is. And here we are talking about our flag. Is it going to be, are we going to even have our flag for that much longer? Like,
What does it stand for anyway?
right.
Look at the European. Europe gave all their sovereignty away to be controlled by a federal union. Now you got a few people that are picked that are unprosecutable. Did you know that? They can't be prosecuted for anything. So you got a few people now in the European Union that control all of Europe. Here, we'll give you out some money. Just like a welfare system to Europe. They gave up their sovereignty. There's no more free, real sovereignty. And then to try to get out of it, look at how hard it was for Brexit, right? Right?
Yeah.
You see, that's why whenever you have too much, you have a small group controlling a larger country. That's why even America, we federalized our country. Every state during the revolution and shortly after was really an autonomous nation until we federalized. Now you have an overlord over the once autonomous state. Why? Why would you want that? Well, we're getting too deep
I guess.
into that, but
Hey,
he's yawning. So
I'm
kidding.
I worked till 1
No,
o'clock
no,
in
I
the morning and then
I'm
woke up. I'm
kidding.
just
It's
tired.
funny. No, it's funny because we covered a lot. But again, the crime, the race, the lying in the media, it's all to create a fucked up system so that we'll accept another fucked up system as a
Right.
remedy. It's going to happen. And it's
right. All this stuff is related.
it's all everything's
It's all
related.
relevant. Yeah.
The crime, this, that, it's all related because it's gonna. You can't just do it by saying, "Well, we're gonna use dictators to take over your life right now." They gotta convince you to believe it. They gotta make it so you
gotta
either
sell the
believe
product.
it. They gotta sell it. You either believe it, or you're so broken down you can't do anything about it, or you're silenced, or you just don't care anymore, or maybe you want it because it's better than the position you're in now. That's what they got to do first. And they're doing it in a lot of different ways. And it's deep, but it's reality because you could research everything I'm saying. They won't come out and tell you exactly, but obviously if you think your government is doing the right, if you think they're sitting in a room saying, how could we help the people of our country? You'd be the dumbest motherfucker, man. How can we help these poor people? How can we help these people that just want to work and make a living and raise families? How do we make life better for them? You think Nancy Pelosi's doing that?
No, she's making 150 grand a year, 200 grand a year, worth fucking $300 million.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, she's too drunk.
Remember
to-
when she was
Fucking
locked
gross.
down in her house in San Francisco with her big refrigerator? Oh, look at the ice cream.
Yeah,
Imagine that when
$10,000
people
ice
can't
cream.
even feed their fucking families. That's the let them eat cake attitude, and that's what the rich believe. And that's these elite people. She's not in there because she's a good politician. She's in there because they put her in there because they need pieces of shit in those positions to push their piece of shit policies. You think there's anybody that gets elected anymore that's any good, that's not part of that fucking shit? It's all part of it, man. And you could see, because even Trump, he did good things for the economy. Everything was great in the beginning, but then what happened? He's the father of the vaccine. He shut down the economy that he built up, right? He did all this shit and he destroyed it. And everybody says, oh, he had to because the media. So you're a leader of the free world and you're worried about what CNN's going to tell you? I mean, come on. It's so stupid. That's why I'm not saying, see, people say, oh, you're against Trump, so you're for Biden. No, he's just as much of a piece of shit now. They're all pieces of shit. How about nobody? I don't, and you win arguments that way. Because then if you don't take one side, because if they're both bad, you win the argument. Say, no, I don't want any of them. I can talk to anybody like that, and then they agree. They say they're all assholes. Why do I have to pick one asshole over another asshole? I don't. That's being smart. You find somebody who I really believe is going to do something good.
So do you have
That's the problem.
like a politician that you look at as like a that's the kind of guy or woman or whatever that we need?
The only one I could say, but I can't trust any politician, is DeSantis in Florida right now, just for what he's doing and how he handled COVID. Okay? Other than that, I still don't trust him either. I don't trust any politician. They're just untrustable. Like, look at that Dan Crenshaw. That piece of shit with the eye patch, he's anti-Second Amendment, you know. He made disparaging remarks about Christians. That's his whole
He's not Christian?
well, he says he is, but he put him down. There's quotes about that.
I was going to say, I thought
And
he
then
was Christian.
anytime you go against any American war or say something, he'll say, "Oh, you're against Israel. You're an anti-Semite." He comes out with those same things that the Democrats do.
He's a warmonger.
And isn't he the same kind of crook as Pelosi with he makes, six figures and worth like hundreds of millions of
Yeah.
dollars?
He's way up there.
It's fucking, that shit
The
is
goal
so
is to
fucking
get us
annoying.
fighting. It's just,
And we can't do anything about it,
We
though.
can't do anything about it. You're right. You could be aware of it, and what they're really afraid of is spreading truth. That's why they got to silence.
And here we are.
That's right. That's right. But that's why they silenced me. And there were others. But if you spread the truth, they got to get rid of it because that truth can catch. And if it catches to millions and billions, then they can't pull this shit off.
But I think they have enough. Well, they do. It's proven they have enough control to stop that. Which is that's why we can't do anything, right?
We cannot. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. It's now how you prepare for it. Would you rather go into battle at least knowing, and I mean battle figuratively, would you want to know what's going to happen so you could kind of prepare yourself for it, or you want to go in like an ignoramus like they want you to do? Because being ignorant is how they can really control you.
Right.
So if you're not completely
If you
ignorant,
fall in line,
right, you may be able to store up on the right things, or prep yourself, or maybe not invest in something and do the right thing, invest in something else. Just being a little aware. It could save your life. It's like lots of things. So other than that, there's not much we could do about it. And again, too, all the media is controlled. People don't even know that media's been controlled since the 60s by Project Mockingbird. You know what that is, right? That's a CIA control. And they had them in before Congress, and everybody knows what Project Mockingbird is. It's probably a different name now, but the CIA controls most of our media as far as really what they want them to tell, what to say, you know. And that's, you could look up Project Mockingbird. It's a well-known thing.
Right. Well, I mean, the CIA has been caught in fucking, you know, we can't even count how many bullshit fucking plans and shit they've had fall apart. But we're kind of expected to say, oh no, they're fine today. You know.
Right. And everybody's like, oh, they're the good guys. No, they're not. I don't even want to get into that, but they're not even supposed to operate on U.S. soil against U.S. citizens. But of course, and now, do you feel like privacy is something that was protected by law anymore? We've all accepted
have no
the
privacy.
fact. No, there is not. We've all accepted the fact that our phones are listening to us.
I mean, shit, we're talking about shit. Last week, a couple days ago, we were talking about shadow banning. All of a sudden,
yeah,
boom,
literally as we're talking about shit like that.
we get the boot.
And now we're not even appalled by it anymore. We're not even appalled by it.
Not that we even go a step further as to put Alexas in our home and and willingly
crazy as shit.
willingly let them listen.
I wouldn't do that though.
No, I'm just saying.
I know.
Though,
I
you're
know.
like,
It's like, oh, Alexa, turn the light on for me.
not only are we just oblivious and say yeah whatever, we actually buy
Invite it.
Yeah.
And we think, and people think it's cool. I'm not gonna say I do, because I'm a privacy dude, man. You know, I don't even like going to a restaurant and someone listening to me talk. You know,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
like, it's like, turn your fucking But so this is it. It's just, is there something we can do about it? Not really. We could be prepared better.
So let me ask kind of one last question. Might be a good one to like wrap up on. What's your prediction? Next 5 years, 10 years, what do you think? Where are we headed? Like
Well,
in your view.
The chip.
I wouldn't put a timeline on it because it's dangerous to do that. It could be soon. It could be a little bit later. But the end goal is to be chipped, and all your financial records will be on that chip. They've already set. The Rockefellers have been pushing this for years, and they're the big bankers and stuff. So to be chipped as all your ID, it's like, okay, the vaccine passport.
You don't need a wallet anymore. You don't need anything that would be in your wallet.
And they'll make it cool. So, but the vaccine passport was the beginning. Remember, you couldn't go into a restaurant. You can't go to work without it.
Right.
And you get this chip, they're going to say, that's it. If you don't have it, you're not going to participate in humanity.
I mean, a true conspiracy theorist might say that, or someone who just even thinks outside the box, we could say, this COVID thing it seems that it had so many trial runs on so many different things.
That's not conspiracy. That's just common sense. How do you lock down a country for something that has 99% survival by their own words, right?
Right.
You're not even 99% sure that you could survive going down into New York City now and walking into a particular neighborhood. It's more dangerous to do that.
Driving my car from here to my house is...
Or that stupid fucking bike that you just bought.
Well, that's the
Here we
thing.
go.
Nobody's got... So to
We'll talk about that on next
lock
episode.
down the world based on you may get some flu, and even though you could get it, you could survive. To lock the world down because of that shows that they're getting ready for that. Now, when they're going to do it, I don't know. But if you look up the microchip and all that, you'll find plenty on there. But a lot of time they'll put weird guys on there talking about it and turn it into a conspiracy, because that's what they do. If something is real,
Right.
they'll flood it in with assholes making it look stupid. So that's another form of deception.
Right,
It's all about deceiving, making you believe what they want eventually, somehow. And just to remind you, the word conspiracy theory was invented by the CIA after the Kennedy assassination. That's already known, because 75% of the American public didn't believe the original version of the Kennedy assassination. So they called them conspiracy theorists. That's it.
I didn't know it was that much of the population that didn't
Oh,
believe
yeah.
back then.
Oh,
Which
yeah.
that's kind of like the Epstein thing now. Like we know as Americans, we're like, yeah, we know he didn't kill himself. We all know that. It's like almost a fact.
Yeah, and he's not even, I don't want to get into it. He's not even dead.
And that's been Yikers.
Huh? He's been switched. Nobody with that kind of power on all the most powerful people in the world could just be killed. It's not going to happen. One other tip, just to show you. Remember, and you guys don't know this, but earlier in the 2000s, he got arrested in Florida for same thing.
And he got out.
He got out.
Well, he got like the
Sweetheart
biggest
deal.
joke of like weekends.
Right.
Or he could do work through the day. He had to sleep there, and
Exactly. So
weekends he wasn't in.
a
Like
sweetheart
fucking the craziest shit ever for like 32 cases of what was it? Not sex trafficking, like child prostitution.
Soliciting.
Okay, now
Soliciting or
listen. Now
whatever he
listen
got caught
carefully.
with.
Look up Trump's labor secretary. Get that name for me. Trump's labor secretary. He was the prosecutor in Florida, right? He's quoted. He's the one who prosecuted the case. He's quoted as saying, people questioned him, "Why did you give him a sweetheart deal?" He said,
Acosta.
Acosta.
Yeah, Alexander Acosta.
He said people with a higher pay grade than me told me to do it. You got that?
Yeah.
That's him. He mentions that. I hope you can still find the quote. Trump picked him as his labor secretary, though. That's funny, though, right? Why would you pick him as your labor secretary when he gave a sweetheart deal to Epstein? So,
Because he's affiliated too.
yes. So listen. So he got a sweetheart deal. Now, this time they probably couldn't hide it, right? You can't kill a guy like Epstein. He got all the most powerful people in the world there, from the Clintons to Trump to Prince douchebag, whatever his name is.
Prince Andrew.
And do you think those people couldn't have taken him out a long time ago? He has all the goods on them, and they know they're being filmed when they go there, because this club has to do what the world wants them to do, because that's how they do it, because they got the goods on them, but they're protected. You're not going to see any of those idiots go to jail. Epstein, they faked it. They did that whole fucking thing. They switched him out. CIA took him out. He's on a beach somewhere with a whole new identity. A guy like that has what's called a dead man's switch. If you're blackmailing all the most powerful people in the world, are you going to sit there and say, "Gee, I hope they don't kill me one day. They may think about that one." You're really going to think that?
It was John
Blackmailers
McAfee, too.
would have,
John McAfee, same thing. I mean, he came out and said, like, yeah, they're after me, and here's the deal. I got 5 or 6, however many people throughout the world. They kill me, their info's coming out. And the next thing you know, they backed off his boat and left him fucking floating in international waters, left him alone, and he lived another, like, 4 years. Now
What do you think about this, though, him still being alive?
Epstein?
Yeah.
I don't know. I've never thought too much about it. I don't.
My thing was always, I know we all know he didn't kill himself. That's as far as my thought process has gone.
You can say he didn't kill himself.
Well,
Yeah.
they said, the camera stopped working.
Camera
And then
stopped.
fucking-
Cameras stopped
Guards
working.
asleep.
The 2 guards fell asleep. The guy who ran the prison was some African guy who they got rid of after.
Well, Bill Barr
That's
just
like
came out 2
complete-
weeks ago. 2 weeks ago, I think. And he said, yeah, I reviewed the camera footage, and nobody went into his cell. He killed himself. What
Yeah,
fucking
Bill
footage?
Barr,
then-
who's
yeah.
also part of that whole fucking crew. Bill Barr, I forgot who he was connected to, actually. He's another crook. That's why I don't know why Trump fucking even picked him. Bill Barr? That's New World Order shit all right from the beginning. He's no better than Kissinger. So listen, of course they're going to say that. So basically, he's gone. He's on a beach somewhere. Can I prove it? No, but I know he's not dead. Switching a body is the easiest thing for the CIA to do with all the comedy of errors. So you got the most powerful person in jail, and you're going to have sleeping
Right.
guards, cameras not working, and some African jailer who you don't even know his name because there's no accountability. Who's accountable for that? It's stupid. You could believe that all you want, but did he kill himself? No.
Yeah.
That I can tell you.
Right.
But people will believe all different versions. Now, they don't care anyway. They don't fucking care what you believe because it's not going to make a difference. All those people, all that power, you think all those people with all that power are stupid enough to go there anyway? How stupid do you have to be to do that? Not thinking you're going to be blackmailed. But it's part of that whole club. They all have to do that to be part of it. That's how they stick together. And it's just the way it is. That's the world. It's bad, it's evil, it's corrupt, and we're just...
Kind of fucking stuck.
Doesn't mean you got to give in to it, of course. It means you got to fight it.
Right.
But you got to know it before you can fight it. You see what I'm saying? You
Yeah.
got to know the punch is coming before you can block it, right? So knowledge is the most important thing right now. Everything's deception. Nothing is the truth. The truth is what they fear. And they don't care about a few guys talking about it. But if millions see it, That's what scares them, and that's why they control everything. That's just the way it is.
You can get his book on Amazon. Where else can you get it? Is it in?
Just Amazon, really. I don't even care if anybody buys it, to be honest with you, because I got it out. I needed. It was a cathartic thing for me. I had to talk the truth with it, and it did good. And I think it opened up some doors, and I think people learned from it. But you know, be careful going down the rabbit hole.
Right.
You know?
Well, yeah, I could tell you from, like I said, from reading it, you bring up some very interesting points. Interesting at the very least, you know.
Thank you.
Well, no matter however you feel about it. I mean, there's not really many opinions in there besides the stuff that you agree with and disagree with in the police,
Right.
you know,
There's
itself.
fact.
But yeah, most of it is fact. So there's not
and
really
experience. Because
Right.
who's going to give you the best opinion about police work than the guy who's on the ground? And I criticize bad police state tactics, but I don't criticize having to be tougher than the criminal that's violating the law in order to subdue him and take him down. That's all.
right.
I'll end it with this. We were trained to use the least amount of force necessary to effect the arrest, and that's what we did. Meaning, you don't overdo it. You do enough to secure him, to keep him from hurting other people, yourself, or himself. And that's how we did it, at least me and the guys I was with.
Right.
So we did it right. That's how we did it.
Well, he might not tell you to go buy the book. I will, because I think people should hear it, you know. And like I said, it brings out a lot of interesting points. So
There's a lot of funny stories in it, too, because life is funny.
yeah.
Did you laugh at all?
Oh
in
yeah,
that?
yeah. I'm trying to think of one of the stories you were telling. The Jamaican drug arrest or whatever.
Oh, when I found the shit in the wall.
Yeah.
Yeah. He crapped his pants.
Yeah. There's a little.
No, there's some good shit in there, especially just everyday just stuff. And that's why I infuse everyday street work with some politics. I try to keep the politics on a shorter, just a brief paragraph, just to, because it's a unique cop book, because most cops don't talk about politics as well. They just talk about, stupid police shit. But I kind of infuse it and give you a reason where this direction is going.
Right. And again, it's very relevant in today's world that we live in. Again, even more so now than even maybe when you wrote the book, potentially.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
So thanks for coming on, man.
Oh, thanks.
And we're gonna do this again, right? Through Zoom or
I would love to do it remotely if we could too.
yeah.
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah, I don't want. So where are we gonna pick up from?
The CIA might get you if we leak that.
Huh?
I said the CIA
No,
might
they
get
know
you.
where I am. No, it's not that. I don't like the whole world. It doesn't matter really, but
Yeah, we'll take that out. Sorry.
yeah, okay.
For all
Let's
20
pick
people
it.
that hear it.
Yeah, that's okay. It doesn't matter, but you'll know how to edit things, right?
Yeah. I edit it.
He's
Yeah.
good. He's
All right,
good.
we'll
we
pick
got
it
we
up
got it
from-
flagged, so it's
Yeah.
all good.
Okay, good. We'll pick it up from here. We could do it remotely wherever I am. I don't have any definite plans. We could do it remotely. You just let me know how to do it. I'm not really savvy with computers, being an old fuck. So
We'll get you hooked up.
yeah, and then we could do some more. We'll talk about some more depressing shit. Why not? Right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I'd love to dive more into the Epstein shit, actually. Wish we had more time. But
Next time.
next episode.
Stay tuned.
All right.
Come back. Yikes.